this time, I'm going to invite Paula to the stage. Last week, Paula shared a story with me and some others of what God is doing in her life. And she asked if she could share this with all of you. And after having heard her story, I couldn't wait for her to share that. And so, Paula, share your story.
Hi, everybody. A little nervous, but I believe in what I'm about to say, so that helps. Okay. All right, here we go. Hello. My name is Paula. I'm a regular attender here. I got baptized at the Rec a few weeks ago with many others. I grew up in a small town in Maine, Brownville. It was a wonderful place to grow up. There were 4 of us kids with 2 more to come later. My parents both drank excessively, but they did make sure that we get to church each week. A fellow came and picked us up each Sunday and took us to a Pentecostal church next town over. I remember loving church so much. I was more interested in being up where the grown-ups were than down in Sunday school. I remember very vividly one day staring at a picture of Jesus up on the wall. He was beautiful and glowing. I remember a very powerful feeling of love washing over me that day. Perhaps I was saved that very day. It stands out as a beautiful, peaceful moment in my life. My childhood was filled with bike riding, fishing, swimming, and playing. I wasn't home much, no curfews to speak of really, complete freedom. The summer between my 11th and 12th years was when I picked up a cigarette. I liked it. I had found some friends. I coughed a lot at first, but I persevered till I became good at it. I had already by then snuck an occasional beer from my dad's pack or sipped some whiskey as my dad would have me make his drinks for him. That year I smoked some pot. That was fun. It enabled me to hang with a little older crowd. I was beyond my years back then. I got to cruise around in cars between towns. I had found a place I belonged. As my life went on, I kept smoking pot daily. I also began in my late 20s to think again about God. He was knocking on me, maybe to warn me, to prepare me for what was coming. When I was 32, my very beloved grandpa passed away. I was devastated. We were close. All of us kids were close to him. When the day of the wake came, we were all preparing to leave. I went to my dad and hugged him and told him I loved him, not knowing that would be the last time I spoke to him. He looked so sad. He loved his father. He got killed in a head-on car crash that day. I can't even describe the devastation. My 2 very favorite men gone in 2 days. It was then that God came to me in a very strong way. It truly was profound. He got me through these first months. I was praying again, listening to spiritual music, and reading spiritual stories. I was still smoking pot. I thought it was helping me. I began to want God, who had always been there for me, never forsaking me. I believed in God, but I just couldn't get that complete feeling of surrender to Him that I craved. This went on for years. Me seeking Him, but that final belonging eluded me. I knew I believed. Isn't that enough? Why couldn't I get that relationship? I didn't understand. I had given up the cigarettes, outgrew the drinking, but kept smoking pot. I gave myself many reasons that it was okay. It grew natural, so it must be okay. Or surely God didn't mind this one thing, or everybody does it, on and on. To me, that's cheap grace. Forward to 2022 August when I had a heart attack. Still a pot smoker. It started on a Wednesday evening. I was nauseous and even got sick. All day Thursday, I didn't feel well. My back hurt, my collarbone hurt. No heart pain or palpitations. No pain in my arms. I thought maybe I pulled a muscle in my back. I even smoked pot that day, thinking it was helping me. I went to bed that night, and here is an example of God's good grace. I woke up Friday. Probably shouldn't have, but God had not given up or forsaken me. I did give God that credit. It was amazing. I woke up with a bad pain in my chest on Friday. After showering, I drove myself to urgent care. I live 8 minutes from there. Rick wanted to drive me, but I said, no, I'm okay. I'll call you when I get there and let you know what's up. He knew there was no sense to protest. I'm stubborn. They rushed me to York, where they took a 100% blockage and put a stent in. They told me that my body had grown new veins around the blockage for blood flow. A miracle from God again. I knew it. He was still with me. He had given me the grace for my body to do this. Physically, I felt so healthy afterwards, kept smoking pot. I believed in God. He obviously was there for me. I just could not get him into my heart. It really started to make me sad. In October, we lost our beloved dog, Buddy, another devastation. So hard on Rick, especially. He was home disabled, and he and Buddy were so close. In late fall, I was just browsing through some shelters online looking at dogs. When I saw her picture, my heart stopped. There she was, the German Shepherd I'd always wanted but couldn't afford to buy. I had prayed for a German Shepherd. He answered my prayers. He was still with me. He knew what was coming. My husband got cancer and passed away within 6 weeks of us finding out. In my baptism testimony, I spoke of how God helped us through this time. Even with my beloved husband dying from lung cancer, I smoked pot. Over the next 2 years, I blew the motor in my vehicle. Rick's mom passed away. I passed a very painful kidney stone and struggled with my son, who suffers from mental illness. This past June, Rick's son Isaiah died of a fentanyl overdose. Then I got COVID. Many things. God was always there. He had still not forsaken me, but I could not get him into my heart. I kept smoking pot. 50 years of it. When the baptism came, I felt surely this was going to connect me to him. It was the single most beautiful, powerful day of my life. Overwhelming in the beauty of sharing the day with others and hearing their testimonies. I went home and smoked pot. By Tuesday, I was absolutely crushed. He was with me, but he was not in my heart. It was devastating. I cried while smoking my pot. I came to church the following Sunday, and after the service, went to my care minister, Diane, and cried my heart out, right there in front of everyone. She prayed with me and said, Satan, leave this girl alone. Twice she did that. I walked out of Curtis Lake Church that day and have not smoked since. It only took Thank you. It only took a day or so. I began to feel this great joy and peace begin to fill me. It was indescribable. He had finally come into my heart. It was the part, all those 50 years, that came between God and I. I finally understood when Josh said that sentence, cheap grace is when we give ourselves permission to do something that we shouldn't be. It hit me like a hammer. This is what I'd been doing. 50 years of it, telling myself it's okay, there are worse sins. God didn't mind because he'd always been there for me. Well, it's all true. God had never forsaken me. I had forsaken him. He never let me down. I let myself down. He has been there always, waiting, so extremely patient. I want you all to know that the baptism worked. I just had to hit rock bottom to finally break through that wall that for 50 years had eluded me. The old Paula is gone. I look at her with a bittersweet look, always being good-hearted, helping others, but confused inside. If you feel like I did, if you just can't get that surrender feeling in your heart that keeps eluding you, please dig deep. Are you giving yourself cheap grace? Maybe you don't even realize it, or maybe even deeper down you do, but are in denial. Please burst through. The reward is worth it all. God loves you, and he's waiting. I have been made new. I am proof. And I am looking forward to my growth in God and here in Curtis Lake with all of the wonderful people I have met here. Thank you and God bless.